Hey guys, it is with great pleasure that I get to blow your minds once again. I present to you the 42-inch brushed nickel Emerson Casablanca Classic. Had this fan for years, and I have told people about it, and no one believed me. No one believed me that it came in the 42-inch size and that it came in the brushed nickel finish. But finally managed to unearth it, and it was one of my original choices for the museum, and then I decided against it. I don't remember why. Maybe I thought it looked too plain or looked too common to people that aren't 80s era fan collectors. And as I was getting a little carried away, finding more fans for the museum and more fans for the museum, and just, you know, going a little crazy, I happened across it in unpacking other fans, and I decided to pull it out just to take a picture, you know, to prove to people that it exists. And I saw that the finish on it was starting to rust and corrode and to pit in places. And that happens sometimes when you have something stored, especially most of my stuff is stored in basements or storage units, and you know, that can happen. And I call it storage rash. I don't know if I coined that term or if somebody else did. But in any case, that was my cue that it needs to be in the museum, because if it's hanging up, it's less likely to become damaged. So I'm going to put it in the museum. The quantity of fans for the museum is becoming quite high, and hopefully we can find room for them all. Hopefully they can all fit in my car when I take them there. But I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a really, really cool setup. So, anyhow, here you guys go. This is the first time I've ever hung it. The first time that I've ever... forgot to mention that the rust and the pitting and the corrosion and stuff, I did manage to fix it up a little bit. Luckily, the bare metal under the brushed nickel finish is only slightly lighter. I don't know if you can see it. It's the flywheel and the switch housing here. You can see some where it's slightly lighter. That's the bare metal underneath the the nickel finish. And so what I did is, in the areas where it was really bad, I just got some steel wool and I removed the nickel finish, and it's just the bare metal is exposed underneath, which is not ideal, but I think it's, unless you look up close with the lighted camera like I just did, I think it's pretty much indistinguishable. Ironically, the washer here is still brass. I'm sure they just didn't have a different color of one. I'm tempted to find a steel washer that would go there. Everything else on it is black or nickel finished. I love how these are kind of a dark finish around the edges, and then nickel. Well, ironically, some of them aren't nickel anymore, because again, that's where some of the pitting had occurred. But I do love that. I think that's really cool that everything else on it is just a solid finish, and these are, you know, are almost looks like they took brown ones and just buffed them out on the top. So, anyhow, let's go ahead. I'm going to start with high, because that's what you start with. It does wobble a little bit, and again, if it ends up being one of the fans that is powered up in the museum, then I'll balance it. If not, I'm not going to worry about it. I think the shaft on it is actually a little bit bent, so I'd have to just compensate for that by balancing the blades. But it wouldn't be easy. So, surprisingly not a great air mover. It's only a 13-degree blade pitch, and it's shorter blades. It really just seems like they didn't change anything about it other than the length of the blades. And so, it's not a bad air mover by any means, but it's not, you know, some 36-inch, 42-inch fans are just cyclones. And this is just more like a, you know, breeze medium. I've got it hanging on the Casablanca mount right now. I do have the original mount for it, but this was a a lot easier for the video. The Emerson mount requires an outlet box, and so it's also very hard to fix the canopies because they're designed to just go into the outlet box screws. Medium speed is not that much different than high. Let's go ahead with low. Once it works its way down to low, it's not going to wobble nearly as bad, but that transitional phase is pretty noticeable. See? Now it doesn't wobble at all, but it did quite badly there when it was transitioning from medium to... Okay, let's do spin down time. Turn it off. Back to high, and I will go back here. I've got up to speed pretty quickly there because of the small blades. Really wish they would have used steeper blade arms on this. They had, at least, I don't know if they did when this was made. This was made in April of '82. I know some of the earlier ones, they had a 15-degree blade pitch option, I think, for heat fans. Would have been great if they would have used those arms on this. I think that would have made it a lot more effective. But as those of us that collect Emerson from this era know, they were in the habit of just throwing together whatever they had on the assembly line at any given day. So, cutting power. If I was going to be hanging it in my house, I would probably try to find a set of steeper pitch blade arms, or even try to bend these. Sorry about that, the video got interrupted, and I don't remember what I was saying when it was spinning down, so I've just started it back on high here, and we're going to do spin down over again. Okay, it's off now. As many of you know, my fan shop is in the basement of my parents' house. I haven't lived here for over 10 years. 12 years? How long has it been? It's been, I don't know, I moved out while I was still in high school, but they've been kind enough to still let me use half their basement, sometimes more than that when I'm doing a lot of work like this. So, anyhow, they, I did mention to them that I was recording video, but it doesn't stop them from coming down and talking to me while I'm recording. I think a few collectors have met my dad. My dad is awesome. Not that they're not both awesome, but I'm absolutely crazy about my dad. I think I was saying that if I ever installed this in my house, I would either bend the blade arms to be steeper, or I would find the steeper set. That was a pretty short spin down time. The bearings in it are good. I oiled them up, and they were good before I oiled them. I just did it because I know it sat for so long. But I had always envisioned getting a house with a big kitchen and having all stainless appliances in it and having this fan hanging. But until and if that happens, this is going to go in the museum. Thanks so much for watching.